Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Lester, and thank you for joining us for episode 137. Tonight, we'll give you our player and match analysis of Wolves' 1-0 defeat at St James's Park, talk about our worst start in history. Jeff told us we'd achieve something special this season. Take some of your questions and look ahead to Saturday's enormous game against Leeds United. I'm delighted I've got my most two miserable friends to join me to perk up the mood. Nocky, Tyler, thanks so much for giving up your Monday evening. I'm sure you are going to be bringing us rays of sunshine and joy. At the request of Tyler, we're going to get lots of questions in tonight, which is only right because there's been so many good questions. We're going to get a few earlier on. But first of all, we'll talk about Saturday's defeat at Newcastle. Nocky, Newcastle United 1, Wolverhampton Wanderers 0.
It feels like this is a result that's really split opinion. There's some people who think we were quite good. Others think that we were absolutely terrible. I'm kind of in the middle. I think up till the first goal, we played relatively well. We could have been a couple of goals up, and we created a few opportunities. We looked like we had a little bit more of a shape to us, a little bit more of a game plan, and we were a bit more solid defensively. But then we fell asleep again for the goal, and I think it's another really poor goal to give away. Totti doesn't track the runner. We don't close the cross down. Agbadu again falls asleep and completely loses the flight of the ball. And as soon as that hits the back of the net, I felt they took full control then and they were very comfortable. We didn't really create a great deal after that. We didn't really get ourselves back into the game. And you felt like the game was probably over at 1-0. I'm not going to be too negative about it because I think that there's not many teams going to go to St James's Park this season and win the game. They're a much better team than we are. And I think the positives that we can take are that we were in the game. Right up until the end, we were in the game. But there's a lot of disappointments we can take as well. I think the way that we managed injury time was absolutely pitiful in the second half. We just kept giving silly fouls away, didn't put them under any pressure. It was just a really disappointing way to kind of see out the game. But there was moments where I thought we were okay and there was a little bit of creativity on the pitch, but all in all, it's another defeat, isn't it?
Yeah, Tyler, as Nocky says, it's another defeat. Are you of a similar view to Nocky? Are you somewhere in the middle, or is it yet more disappointment for yourself?
Probably a bit of all three. I think we were okay, weren't we, for large parts of the game. On another day, you could be a goal up within a minute or two, and that would have been nice, but I'm with Mark. I think once they scored, that sort of took the wind out of us a little bit, and I think they took control. Like Mark says, it's a replica of a goal we've conceded 1,000 times. For me, I've said it a few times, and I'll say it again on Saturday, and I've said this a lot to you, Ryan. It's both boxes for me, where we just let ourselves down, whether it's defensively or offensively. We need to be better at what we're doing. A lot of basic errors, a lot of bad touches, a lot of sloppiness. However, like you said, it's probably the most positive performance of the season. I enjoyed the display of the two wing-backs. I enjoyed Krejcik's debut. You can see the big man, if he gets up to speed up front, he's going to cause problems. I thought Johnston had a fairly competent game in goal. Mosquera, I thought, looked fine considering his injury. So there are things you can take from that game, whereas I think some of the other ones this season, it's been a sort of a full-on disaster class. But you can't keep making the same mistakes in this league and expect to get away with it. And I'm sure we'll come on to Pereira later, but I'd like to see a bit more from him as well, a bit more bravery. I thought, like Mark said, the last 20, 30 minutes, we could have had a right go there. And I thought we were tentative in a way, and some of the substitutions were a bit surprising. But hopefully that's answered your question, because it's a mix of everything for me. Some positives, some negatives, and some just repetition of doing the same thing over and over.
Yeah, it's a strange one, Nocky, because I don't think we've talked about a league win on this show since April, maybe. And we're in September now. That's a long time ago. So fair play to everyone that keeps coming back, and fair play to you two for keep coming and joining me as well. So that's a long time without a win, but Wolves were safe. They're taking the foot off the gas a little bit then. But here we are now, 4 games in, 4 defeats. The table doesn't lie. But as you say, that probably was, for me, other than the cup game, our most I'm not saying impressive, is a bit of a reach, but it was the performance that gives me the most promise of all of them so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a low bar, hasn't it, in terms of improving, because we've conceded some absolutely dreadful goals. I just thought that we had moments and we had opportunities, and Rodrigo could have put us a goal up inside the first sort of 20 seconds. Hwang from the resulting corner could have scored. It was a decent connection on his left foot. We had a cross from Hwang that I think Tolu was very close to tapping in, but they got to it. So we had a few moments, and I don't know whether it's because my expectations are so low, and I thought we're there and probably shit 4 or 5 goals. I was even worried it could be more than that. But we went there and we put on a little bit of performance. And I think where we were slightly better this time was I felt we had a little bit of an identity and a little bit of a shape in that first sort of 30 minutes. It did fall apart a little bit in the second half, but we were utilising the wing backs. The midfield seemed a lot stronger. On with Tyler, I think Kretschke was excellent. And we just seemed to have a little bit of grip of things in the first half, but then when we got to the second, heads dropped. We just weren't creating the same threat. Hugo Bueno was brilliant in the first half, then he looked like he'd never played football in the second half, and we just weren't able to exert any pressure on them. And I think the subs didn't really impact us the way that we needed them to, and perhaps the way they did a little bit against Everton. And we haven't got that quality on the bench. But I think, we've had a conversation from the start of the season that the team isn't good enough, and if you don't think they're good enough, and they're probably going to be best case scenario 17th this season, it's very difficult to think that you can go to Newcastle and compete. And I do think we competed, even though we did lose a game.
That's a really fair point. Just moving on to the formation, Tyler, we sort of, I think most people looked at the team and thought, well, there's only a way there can only be 3-5-2. There's a lot of talk of Kretschke from the manager playing in midfield in the past. That's not happened for a couple of years. But I would say, I mean, we're not going to go into the team shortly, but I would say he was probably one of the Wolves' sort of standouts for the day, really. But I'm not sure I want him in centre midfield. I think he's someone that needs to be competing with Totti. But that's probably the first player that's come in and we thought on his debut this year, well, this guy can clearly make a difference.
Yeah, don't do him a disservice about competing with Totti, because it's chalk and cheese. If you look at the technical ability of those footballers, he was superb on the ball. His touch was brilliant. Little Cruyff turns away from trouble, and you can tell within 5 minutes if someone can play football, and he most certainly can. I quite enjoyed him in that midfield slot, actually. Surprisingly, I thought he picked up some really clever positions and some good positions, whether that was by luck or by judgment, because obviously they haven't had long to work together with the international breaks. But he was my positive of the day. He looks like a leader. He crunched Bruno after, 15, 20 minutes and took a yellow card.
Smashed him, didn't he?
Yeah, nothing wrong.
Smashed him.
Nothing wrong with that. Big fan of that. And then when he moved in centre half, I thought he looked really good.
In the middle of a 3 as well. And I think, Tyler, you talked about that when we first signed him. He looks like the kind of footballer. You have a brute either side, an athlete, and then you have someone in the middle that's a bit more of a composer, like in the sort of Cody role, but probably a bit more of an apt defender than Cody.
Yeah, picking passes, passing it forwards. It sounds basic, but we go backwards so often. Had intent with his passes. They were fizzed in, they were played in. I thought, for me, he was probably head and shoulders better than anyone on our team that day. And he's already come in and looks like one of our better players. I sort of ummed and ahed about it, but I think if you went moving forward with him, Mosquera, and I'm still sticking with Agbadou because I still think there's a player there, that's not the worst back three in the world, is it? And it sort of should give you a bit of a platform and a foundation, but looked as comfortably in midfield as at the back.
Could you play him there in other games, or could you only play him there in games where you know you're going to be under pressure and you're not going to have a lot of the ball? I
was going to say this in a little bit, Nocky. I think this is a really good point. I think he's someone that goes into the midfield away at Man City, away at Arsenal, away at Newcastle, Champions League, top 6, top 7 teams, that kind of area where we know that if we go there, we could be in big trouble, particularly because we aren't as good as last season. That's clear as day so far. We're a million miles off that because we've lost the Mavericks. So to make it a bit horrible, which we did, and we started like a train, and let's talk about the positives. We don't get many of them. Wolves were excellent at the start of that game. Newcastle were not expecting that. I was not expecting it. I wasn't expecting inverted wing backs. I kept looking, thinking, I don't really understand why they're in these positions that they are, but it worked. Playing for the width. So I talk about so often, you want your left-footed players far on the left, your right players on the right, yeah.
Do you think that worked though? Do we think that
I do
worked?
think it works. I do think it worked because
From what
I think
perspective?
Rodrigo.
I can only remember the Hwang cross for Tolo, and yeah, Rodrigo shot after 20 seconds. But apart from that, I wasn't quite convinced it did. But I could,
I think it worked. I think it worked for Rodrigo. I don't think it worked quite so much for Hugo.
Yeah.
But when I've seen Rodrigo play, I think his best
But
position is playing as a left wing back.
Absolutely.
That's where I think he's the best. He'd get the best out of him. He likes to cut inside. He scored a goal last season. I think it was against Leicester from that position when he overlapped Cunha, and he likes to make that run off the full back into the kind of midfield third and then onto the attack. So for him, I think it works. Hugo maybe not as much. He's not quite as comfortable delivering on his weaker foot. Yeah, needs to cut back. But I liked it. I thought it worked. I'm not against it at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Rodrigo because I think his season before we joined Wolves, he spent the majority at left wing back. Now he's predominantly right-footed, but he's a player that can happily cross with his left if he's going wide or cut inside and shoot. So, I agree with you both. It certainly suited Rodrigo more than it did Hugo, which will be interesting next week. So if that is the case, then you'd probably look at Chacho probably coming back in again on that side of the pitch, which I wouldn't be against because we're going to need pace, and I would expect hopefully a more positive team at home to Leeds. I wouldn't be as keen in inviting Leeds on. I don't think he'll do that though, but we'll go on to there later in the show. Had the chances, missed the chances. As I said, Hwang, Rodrigo, Wolves could have been on another day, could have been 2 goals up, and then no one would have believed what was happening, but we shall see. But then, Tyler, we didn't stop the cross again. Again, Agbadou, has got to take some of the blame. And before we know it, we're 1-0 down. And from that moment on, really, it only looked like one team that was going to win.
Yeah, it's Groundhog Day again, isn't it? Another ball crossed in and then another goal conceded. West Ham did it, Everton did it. I've tried to erase the other games out of my memory, but we're so weak and poor and naive against crosses. He has got to do better for me, at least make it difficult, get tighter. But Murphy's had 10 minutes to cross that ball in. Yeah. He's literally had one touch, looked up, had another little touch, looked up, and then crossed it. I mean, it's unforgivable, that is. You just can't let players of the quality that they've got have time and space. And, we were rightly punished for it. But apart from that and the point-blank save Johnston made, he didn't have a lot to do, did he, really? And that, that's credit, I suppose, to what Mark said at the start. Probably a bit of better shape, a bit better organised. Just a shame that one blip has cost us what could have been a very valuable point, really.
Yeah, I don't think Wolves were unlucky. I think the better team won. But one thing that did frustrate me was how late we used the subs. Now, obviously, a lot of these guys have played international football. They've literally been travelling the other side of the world. I get that. But I've got a feeling when you're 1-0 down, you've got to roll the dice a little bit earlier. I'm being a little bit harsh there, Nocky, because, and again, I often criticise him, but I do credit him when he scored, like he scored the other week. But I don't know how Hwang played that long in the game. And I think as the game goes on and you're losing, you have to change it and be a bit braver earlier on.
I agree to a point, but I can kind of see what he was trying to do because the players we had in and the system that we had, we didn't really look like we were going to concede a goal. And while the game's at 1-0, you're in it. And then I think he felt if we could stay in the game until sort of the 80th minute, then bring the subs on, and maybe we can have a little bit more of a go at them. So I kind of understand what he was thinking in that sense. But I probably would have gone early with the subs. I'd have had Fer Lopez on a lot earlier. And I'd have tried to have a little bit of a go at them. But you are in the game, aren't you, at 1-0? So I do kind of sympathise with what he was trying to do there. You're hoping when Arias comes on, he's going to make a little bit more of an impact. You're hoping you're going to get a little bit more pace in that kind of number 10 position and floating around there. It didn't really happen for us, and I don't think the substitutions improved us at all. They might have done if we'd have come on a little bit earlier, I don't know, but we never really looked a threat at all in that second half with any setup.
Just before we move on to the players, Tyler, I tweeted about this, about Wolves' football intelligence on the day. Throughout the game, I just thought Newcastle set traps time and time again, and Wolves fell for it. Little push, little tug. standing in the right place. Just whether it was mental laziness, whether it was naive, I don't know, but there seemed to be a real lack of a football intelligence throughout the game. And two of the biggest points for me, we obsess about taking short goal kicks and then we're whacking it long when our big centre forward's gone off. I don't really understand that. And then you've got a corner in the last minute and you take it short and end up back on the halfway line. For me, if I did that on a Sunday morning when I was playing football, my old man would absolutely have booted me. It's in the last minute. Get it in there. I mean, it's not difficult. You put a good cross in. You've got 5, 6 foot plus guys in there. For me, is that a lot of confidence? Is that an instruction? I don't know, but that's your last chance of the game. Get the keeper up, throw everything up there, just have a go. We end up in possession on the halfway line. It was pathetic.
Yeah, it's madness, isn't it? It's probably the worst corner I've ever seen. Do
you remember when Raw Fox kicked the corner flag playing for Newcastle? Yeah, it was worse than that.
It's up there with that, isn't it? But we've gone back and then we've just swung a ball in and it's gone out for goal. I mean, it's pathetic. But yeah, but we're not clever, are we? We're not a clever, smart football team. We're not streetwise enough. It's nothing new, is it? It's not a new thing. And I think some of the players we've got, if I'm honest, struggle to kick the ball properly through the 90 minutes. So to then ask them to be clever, smart as well at the moment, it's just not going to happen. But just to mention on one of the smartest players I think we've got is Fair Lopez. I thought he came on. It might only have been 10, 15 minutes. He was miles ahead of any of the Wolves player on that part with what he was trying to do. Playing little 1-2s, not getting the ball back, making little runs, not getting it. He was visibly frustrated. And I think he sort of showed up a few of the older pros, to be honest. So, I think the jury was out about him at the start of the season, but I think he has to play if Wolves are to be progressive this season.
Well, he has to play against teams like Leeds United, and no disrespect to Leeds, but home games you should be targeting for a win. Your players of his talent, I mean, we talked about, I know some of you guys said it might take him a year, 6 months. The guys coming on games, like against Everton, like at Newcastle, he's changing the way Wolves look totally. Yep. He's giving he'll come and collect off the midfield, he'll drop a shoulder, he'll take 5 yards, he'll slip a ball down the right-hand side, he'll do a crossfield pass. He looks somebody that wants to get the ball and he wants to make it happen. And Wolves don't have enough responsibility takers at the moment. You can't, and no disrespect to people like Hwang or Manetzi, when you've got those guys on, they're not really going to be able to do that. That's not their game, and I'm not questioning their intent because you can only play within the limits that you have. But we need footballers. You need talent. We've lost our Mavericks. We've lost Sarabia. We've lost Aitner. We've lost Cunha. So you need some magic in there. And with no Arias and no Fer Lopez, it's really difficult. So for me, both of those guys start next week. And if it's Tolo again, and then Strand Larsen off the bench if he's fit, if he's training yet, I don't know. But I think you have to go back to the 3-4-2-1, get the 2 tins in there, get your wing backs high and have a go. I just think that talent must come in. This is episode 137 of the Wolves Report with Chris Tyler, Mark Knock and myself, Ryan Lester. Let's briefly go through these. I want to go through lots of questions tonight. We've had loads and loads of really good questions. I want to get on as many as we can. Knocky, a bit of a surprise to see Sam Johnson in goal, but I've got to say, from what he had to do, I thought he did okay.
I thought it was excellent. He couldn't do anything at all about the goal, and he made a really, really good save as well when it was from point blank range. I think it was Murphy. I know the commentators probably said it hit him. I don't think he did. I think he sort of stuck a leg out, made himself big and saved it. His distribution was better than Sar's. He's not a goalkeeper that I look at and think he's an improvement on what we've got. But I thought he had a really good game. I thought he was solid. I wouldn't criticise him at all.
Yeah, moving on to the back three. I've called a long time, Tyler, for Mascara to be in the side. I know we've talked about it sort of on the group chat and we talked about it as well. I'm a big fan of Mascara and I think he was desperately unlucky when he got injured against Villa. And I'm not sure, I think he'd have helped Gary O'Neill and Wolves a bit last year if he was around because we certainly missed him and the lack of squad depth was exposed. But he's a bit raw, but you know what? He's committed. He's aggressive. He's that centre-back that will put the body in there. And, I mean, he probably got away with one. I've got to be honest, if it's given in real time, it probably is given. But that's someone that's prepared to play on the edge and make a difference. And all the top sides have got defenders like that.
Yeah, I liked it. You've said it well. He was raw. He is a red card waiting to happen sometimes, I think. He likes to do that Housery side of the game, doesn't he? We saw it a couple of times last season. He got involved with Dan Burn on Saturday, could have been sent off for a red card. He just needs to temper that. But then I suppose you got a crazy Colombian centre-half, you're going to get that.
Do we want to take the edge off, though? Because I think we're a little bit nice and we're a little bit soft. I mean, I don't want to go around decking everybody, but Housery at the right time and a bit of edge, I don't mind.
That's it. He's got to find that balance because he will get sent off. He will miss games. You know, he's already had his injuries. He just needs to sort of try and settle and play football. But when he's fully fit, there's no doubt for me he's in the side. I'd go with what you've got there, and I would replace Toty with Krejci moving forward at home to Leeds, especially in a game where you think we might have a bit more of the ball. Toty was fine on Saturday, inexplicably ran the ball out for a corner for no reason. I still haven't figured quite why. And Agbadou, I think, although we're not seeing the best of him, I just still think he's such a physical presence. He almost has to be in there for me. But I thought they did okay. I thought as a unit, they were fine. And like you talked about pre-season, Ryan, if you've got defenders like that, you're going to be athletic, you're going to compete, you're going to be quick, maybe just a bit more nous needed sometimes.
Yeah, one thing I want to talk about Agbadou briefly, Nocky, is yes, he's at fault for that goal, but you know what? It's not just him because the crossing didn't come out. Does the keeper do something? I don't know. But one thing I would say about Agbadou, he's the one centre back of those that manages to find that drilled 20 or 30 yard pass, and he did it a few times on Saturday. And you almost have to take that into consideration because if you play with three brutes at the back and no football, you're never going to get that pass. Agbadou has got that 20, 30 yard drill pass into the forward's feet. And I think we all know that this is a dip. We saw what he's capable of last year. It's a little bit of a slow start at Bristol, as you said, Nocky, but then his form grew and he was phenomenal for 10 or 15 games. So we know there's a player there. So he's lost Aït-Nouri as well. We've lost some of the players around us. I think this is a dip and I think he's crucial to Wolves going forward.
I think you're being kind because for me, he's been an absolute disaster this season. He's given a goal away in every game. That isn't sustainable. And I think Mosquera as well. I know that we like the look of Mosquera, but again, he's a walking red card. He could have been sent off for what was probably a foul. If the referee does send him off, then VAR aren't going to overturn it, and he looks a bit dangerous to me. I thought out of the three, Totti probably looked the most composed. Agbadou's way off it.
Corner.
Well, yeah, but he didn't. That's one incident of what he's done. Other than that, I thought he was relatively composed, and he should have got out quicker for the goal. But if you're picking across that three, I think Agbadou's been the worst of the three by an absolute country mile at the minute. For me, if anyone comes out for Krejci, it's him, because I just think that his confidence is gone. He's giving goals away. He's not dropping into tackles the way he used to. He's lost that composure. Yes, he's hitting some good 30, 40-yard balls, but his bread and butter is to stop that. To stop that ball getting through towards Johnson. I don't think he's doing that. So, yes, he's a good player. He has got potential. We know he's better than what we're showing at the moment, but we're not in a position to carry anyone at the minute. So, if he's going to continue the way he is, he comes out of team for me.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what you said, in terms of mistakes and sloppiness, there's no argument about that. My argument is, Nocky, that there is a player there. We know there's a player there because we've seen him be incredible. Like last year, that game against Villa at home, when he ate up Ollie Watkins in the first half, an England international that was scoring for fun, got subbed at half-time. That's the player that's there. We just need to find that again. As for Toty on Saturday, yeah, he was okay. But the problem is from that side of the pitch with Toty there is... There isn't very much composure or much football. And I just think on that side of the pitch, you drop Krejci in there. I just think it balances the back three a little bit for me. But you know what? You're right. Toty wasn't the worst of the back three on Saturday. So fair enough. Tyler, moving on to the inverted wing backs of Rodri and Bueno.
Do you reckon he just got it wrong on the team sheet before kick-off and then thought, oh, I'm not going to change?
Just say Rodri or Rodrigo, then I meant Rodrigo.
I look like a tactical genius. Yeah, I think you're both right. It worked, certainly for Rodrigo. I like Hugo. I think he's in the side for me, but I like his pace. I like he gets forward. He can whip a ball in. Does he start there Saturday? I'm not convinced, but I think they're the best two wing-back options we've got at the football club at the moment. And I'm not sure what that says about the new signings. They'll need a bit of time to gel and settle, but a couple of people today made a good point. You know, those two have played a fair amount of Premier League football compared to the other two that have come in. So does that naturally put them ahead in that race for starting games? I think it probably does for me at the moment. And I don't think either of them did anything to warrant being dropped on Saturday.
No, I think they were okay. I mean, Roderick, yeah, he's busy, isn't he? He's busy, and I don't think he's the most gifted of footballers. Sometimes I think his touch is a bit heavy, but his enthusiasm, his directness, and his engine and his relentlessness, I think that kind of enthusiasm and that bravery is something we miss. So should he be in the side at the moment? Yeah, I'd probably agree. Does it suit Bueno being on that side of the pitch? For me, Bueno's best asset, he's been able to drop the shoulder and put a cross in. He's not going to be able to do that if he's playing inverted. He's going to have to go outside, and I don't want that. If you're playing this formation, your wing backs need to be getting down that line, because Rodrigo can go, Rodgers can go inside or outside. Bueno on that for me can only go outside. So I'd be tempted with Chachua on that side on Saturday. Maybe harsh, but I'm not sure it works. But moving on to the midfield three, Nocky, Joe Gomez and Andre.
I thought they were quite good. They looked better in a three. They looked like they had a little bit more stability. I think it's probably the first game we've played this season where we haven't clearly lost that midfield battle. We were a little bit more stable. I know you only mentioned the two, but I thought with Krejci in there, I was
going to give Krejci to Tyler because he was purring about him.
Yeah, we just balanced it really well for me. So I thought they were okay. Andre's still not where he was. I still don't think he's the player he was at the end of last season. There's something missing at the minute. But I thought Gomez was good. His energy was good. They both worked hard. It was a decent performance from both. I don't think they were outstanding, but I don't think they were responsible for the defeat either.
We need more from those two, though, don't we?
That's where your third comes in, though, isn't it? Your third comes in. I think they can sit there.
For me, again, I want to see more from both of them. Again, I think Andre's got it so comfortable in that role he plays at the moment. And that's putting so much on Gomez that if Gomez doesn't go and join in, nobody goes and joins in. Look at how their three played compared to ours. And I know you could argue we competed, but they were miles ahead, I thought, their centre mids. And the Brazilian internationals, they compete with those guys for a national shirt.
That trio of Newcastle, though, is as good as anyone's in the Premier League, because they can all run, but they're not quick, but they can all travel with the ball. They can all chip in with a goal. They can all do everything. They are three all-round midfielders. We don't have that. Yeah, we've got two holding midfielders and a centre-back in there. So, I mean, it's surprising we created as many chances as we did early on, to be honest, because you've got a centre-back and two guys in midfield. But for the start, it actually works. So my only concern going forward, just leaning onto you a little bit here, Tyler, with Krejci, I just don't think, as you just covered then, that there's enough output at the business end of the pitch, because none of those, I mean, Joe Gomez can join in and he does chip in with the odd goal here and there. Andre's never going to do that. And Krejci's been playing centre-back for the last 2 years. So to go and do a bit of housery against home or away against the bigger and better sides, I'm all for it. But you need somewhere a little bit more pace on the counter. But those three against sides we should be looking for wins, I don't think that's the solution going forward.
Yeah, I agree. And would either of you want those three in there in 5-3-2 on Saturday?
I mean, there's a chance he does it, you know.
Leeds when you need a win.
I don't know. Let's talk about Leeds at the end anyway. Moving on, Nocky, to Wolves' top scorer this season, Hwang Hee-chan.
He was probably involved in two of our better moments. I think he had a volley from a corner and he put in a decent ball for Tolu, which was cut out. Other than that, he was pretty anonymous. Couldn't really get in the game. I'm usually pretty critical of Totti of Hwang, but I don't really blame him for this one. We couldn't really get the ball up to him, and as Chris has rightly said, those three across midfield are not going to create much of a supply line for your attackers. So he was relatively anonymous, but he was involved in two of our better moments.
Yeah, for me, again, I tweeted this, Tyler. He, for me, is a last resort fox in the box. He's someone you're playing as a last resort in and around the penalty spot and 6-yard area, because he will pop up with a goal there. But you're not expecting to link the play. He doesn't take people on. He doesn't really retain possession that well. So
why is he playing there?
I mean, I do not.
You're a big fan of Pereira. You know, when we talk about it, you've said he's a last resort when you've got Fair Lopez and Arias on the bench.
I can only come up with the excuse that all these guys have been travelling on international duty because I can't see any other reason
Lopez has been
whatsoever.
to Spain, mate. It's an hour on a plane.
I know, mate. I genuinely don't know. I don't know. When I saw Wang on the team sheet, I was absolutely staggered. You know what? He got his goal and maybe he's rewarding him for that. But as I said for a long time, I don't think he's anywhere near enough. And if Wang's a mainstay in our team this season, I don't think that bodes well for staying up at all. So for me, if it's that formation Saturday, it's probably Fer Lopez or Arias that come in, but ideally both, and we switch to 2 10s. Last but not least, Noki, moving on to debut boy Tolu.
It's hard to judge him, isn't it? He's just coming to the team. My frustration will be the only time we put a decent ball into the box at a decent height, we'd already taken him off. So he didn't really play to his strengths. He seemed a little bit more physical than Strand Larsen. I think he's a similar kind of player, but he was more physical. He did occupy their centre halves a bit. And there was a couple of relatively positive moments for him, but it's very difficult to judge, especially away at Newcastle. You'll get a better idea probably 6 or 7 games in when he's had time to settle. He's fully match fit. I think by his own admission, he's not match fit at the moment. So I thought he was okay. It was a decent enough debut, but he never looked like getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was okay. I think he's going to be better when he's got closer people around him. And I think I messaged to you guys at half time. I think I said it'd be nice if someone was within 30 metres of him, so he could, when he's been a problem and the ball's bouncing around off him or he's linking people, you need those 2 10s or one of the 10s right next to him so he can link things up. But
definitely.
I think he's promising. I think there's good things to come. We'll move away from Saturday, just rounding that up. It was an all right performance, but it says a lot if you've lost 1-0, and it's probably your best performance of the season, in my opinion, against one of the better sides. So let's go on with that. This is episode 137 of the Wolves Report with Mark, not Chris Tyler, myself, Ryan, Lester. There's a couple of tweets I saw. I didn't get a chance to put them on the stream, so I'm going to put them up now, and then I'm going to talk about the worst start to the season. This is an absolute belter, starting things off. And here we go. Question for each of you, Tyler, Ryan, Noki. Would you sack Vitor now if you were guaranteed either Nuno, Martinho? Vitor looks like a broken man, and personally, I can't see where the next win is coming from. If you get either of those two, we are safe. Chris, what do you think?
Oh, that's a stinker. I'm not at the Pereira out stage yet. I did put a tweet on after the game wondering how long he has, how much time does he have in the bank, because I do want to see improvements on the pitch. I think we talk about this inferior squad, and rightly so to a point from last season, but like we talked about last week, he's got some good options now in that squad in different positions, and I think it's time to start seeing an improvement. To answer the question, would I sack him now if I was guaranteed one of those two? That's a stinker. I don't think I would at the moment, personally. Nuno's not going to come back and work for Fosun or Jeff, and Mourinho's a pipe dream, isn't he? Although some of the bookies have him at 3-1 to be the next club for him, so you never know. But I think at the moment Pereira has to have a bit more time, and I think after the next 2 home games, we'll know where we're at.
Okay.
Mourinho's not coming to Wolves. Not a chance in hell he'd work with Jeff Shea. He needs money to deliver his best, and he's not going to get that. Nuno, I'm not sure he should ever really go back. And I'm sticking with Vitor. I think when you look at it, when you're balanced looking at it, he only had 1 player in before pre-season this season, which was Fer Lopez. We brought in Tolu, the day before the end of the window. Arias came in 24th of July. Jackson, 19th of August.
Got these dates, Tyler.
But they've had no... The point is they've had no...
teams did their business late, though, Knocker. A lot of teams did. Not many had their team set up in June and July.
No, I completely agree. But then you look, if you take, for instance, perhaps a Bournemouth, who we would have compared ourselves in the same sort of area, they still had an Alex Scott, they still had Semenyo, they had quality, so they could bring in players.
They're a better run football club, though, mate. They know all their big players were going. They had a plan. They got who they wanted. Yeah. We didn't. So we've now become less attractive than Bournemouth. Whether we like it or not, that's a fact. Because Jeff Shea has made us an unattractive football club. He's tried to make us not have dreams. And why are so many people?
But we can't keep talking about that, though, Ryan. That's done. We know where we're at. Noki called it 3 years ago. We're self-sufficient. we know where we're at and the restraints we've got to work in. Between now and the January window, it's all about what happens on the pitch, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
The football operations now are the only thing that matter, and what happens off it are irrelevant because we can't do any business anyway.
And Chris, to answer your question, thank you for being part of the show. I'm a no. I'm going to stick with Vitor as well. A couple of reasons. Nuno would inherit a significantly weaker squad, and one that probably is only maybe just on a par, probably weaker than the team that he got promoted with. So I don't see him coming back. And as for Mourinho, I mean, character amazing, football legend, but he plays really defensive football, and I just don't see any beyond a huge amount of money. But also, Vitor's kept Wolves at once from the doldrums, and I hope he can do it again. Plus, as Nocky said, he needs plenty of time to work with the squad. So for now, I'm absolutely sticking. Chris,
you can't sack him now. You don't sack him after 5 games. It'd be
no. Well, look, we've got a few more questions on that. We've got a few more questions on that in a bit, Nocky.
Teams are though, aren't they? Forest have.
They've got Marinakis in charge. Though he'll probably sack the next manager in the next 6 months. He's a bit of a lunatic, isn't he?
You always say, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Anyway, let's move on to another question. Richard asks, question for the panel: even if EP manages to keep getting results in this style, do you want to pay £800 a year to watch this after 8 years in the Premier League? I mean,
what style is it? What you mentioned, style of football. What is the style? Anyone know?
At the moment, I don't know. I don't, but it's a really good question. And I get there's a bigger point that Richard's trying to make there, because the regression has been absolutely off the chart. And again, we know why that is. We'll come on to that into the next section. You can also get you can get tickets cheaper behind the goal at Man City and at Liverpool than you can at Wolves. So not all areas, but there are seats equivalent. You can get cheaper to watch that kind of football in comparison. So yeah,
it's hard to argue that anyone's getting value for money, is it, at the moment? As a season ticket holder, you're not, are you?
No. Only if you're going just for goals, you're getting loads of value. It's just unfortunately none of them are for us. So there's not particularly much value there. But Richard, thank you for being part of the Wolves report. Now, as widely reported, after Wolves' defeat at Newcastle United, they have now had the worst start to their any season ever in history. So Jeff talked about doing something special. Maybe. Well, you've certainly broken a record, Jeff, under your tenure. So yeah, Nocky, Wolves have made history this season, and we have witnessed the worst start to a history ever at Wolverhampton Wanderers.
It's not really surprising, though, is it? I mean, if you sell all your best players and don't replace them with anything near the same quality, you're going to pay a price for that, aren't you?
Come on, son. It's 130 years. Think how bad we've been over some of them seasons.
Yeah, but how many games...
We've been to Oldham on a Tuesday night and I nearly fell out the window.
How many as bad as this have we had in midfield in those times?
But how many games have we won in August since we've been back? It's been coming, hasn't it? We're just not very good. We've sold too many quality players and we haven't replaced them well enough. So I'm not really surprised we are where we are. In terms of the predictions, I'm 4 out of 4 in that, because you can call me the obese oracle if you want, but it's pretty straightforward where the issues are coming in. We just haven't got the quality at all. We just haven't got the quality to compete at this level. My expectations were low, which is why I'm not really too down about what's going on, because it's kind of where I thought we would be. I don't really see it changing. I think your only hope is that you can be in touch when you get to Christmas, and then maybe there's a bit of a panic trolley dash again like we did a few years ago, and it changes. But this is the weakest we've ever been since returning back to the division, and I think anyone who sees it differently than an all-out scrap, and I include Jeff Sheen, that is absolutely delusional.
Absolutely. Just to take a step back, I want to thank Ad Sidaway for the graphic he provides on the Wolves report now. Hopefully Ad will do a graphic soon and it'll have a winning scoreline on. But Ad, it is appreciated. Thank you for your work on that. It's certainly a nice addition to the show. Jonah pops up and asks, when is the Jeff Shee pod, Ryan? Still very much in production. I've got to speak to a lot of people still. I've got to got lots of I's to dots and T's to tick to make sure it's all clear and to go through on that. But it is something that's in progress. So yeah, I am looking forward to it as much as everybody. It's nice to have had so many questions about it. I hope you enjoy it when it comes out. Like I said, I've just got to make sure everything's right on there, but I appreciate your interest in that. Jonah, as requested by Tyler, let's move on to some questions. We have lots of questions tonight, so let's get through them now. This was a bit of a stinker, but I think it's played out not to be a stinker in the end. Tyler, Drew said, Agbadu, Manetsi, Hwang, 2 of these guys can never play a game this season, but one plays every minute. What are you choosing?
I think you know my answer, don't you? But
yeah,
Agbadu plays, and I don't want to see Manetsi and Hwang ever again anyway. So I'd love that to almost happen if possible. Agbadu out of those 3 is the one that's shown he can excel at this level. I've not seen it from the other 2, and certainly not Hwang for 3 seasons or so. So, yeah, Agbadu plays, and the other 2 we don't see again.
Nocky, can we expect the same answer from you, considering you're going to drop him?
I'll drop all 3 and just play with 10 men. I don't think we'd be any worse off.
But to answer Drew's question,
yeah, I think if you're going to pick one, you're going to go Agbadu, aren't you? Because he's the one of the 3 that has got some quality about him. We're just not seeing it at the minute.
We've seen enough of Hwang, and it's, again, a mark of Wolves' recruitment, historically bad recruitment over the last few years, that he's still starting games for Wolves. But the person I feel sorry for there is Manetsi, because he was brought in to do a job last season to save Wolves. The guy's a centre midfielder, and he's been asked to play out of positions. So, yeah, I have sympathy. Is he the guy to keep Wolves up? Probably not. But I'm very much Agbadu. I still think there's very much a player in there, and hopefully that comes good, particularly on Saturday afternoon. Drew, thank you for this week's stinker. Richard asks, I think only 2 of the summons signings started on Saturday, our 4th game. What do you take from this, Nocky?
I think you can look at it 2 ways, can't you? They're either not good enough, or they've just not had enough time to be integrated fully into the team yet, and they don't fully know what's been asked of them. I know that Arias' former club, they're absolutely raving about him. There's clearly a player there, but we're not playing him in his right position, are we? We're playing him more on the left when he's played naturally on the right. Wolf, again, may need some time to settle, but I've not seen anything that tells me he's better than what we've already got. So, look, we've spent money on these players. We know that there'll be a reduction in wages, and there's been a reduction in quality. So, are they better than what we already had at the club, I suppose, is the argument. Tola, you could say yes, because we needed that other option up front, and he's probably going to be better than Kalajic. Fer Lopez definitely looks like an improvement for what we've currently got, but is he going to have a bigger impact by this time at the end of the season than Sarabia had? I'm not sure about that, but there's clearly a player there. So we need to give him time. You can't write him off at this stage of the season, but I think they need to settle into the team. They need to settle into the squad. And hopefully by the next international break, they'll be more established, and we'll see better as to what they are.
Absolutely. Richard, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. Dave asked, 4 games in and the coach has barely had 5 minutes with a fully fit and available squad. I'm personally surprised at the manic bang for his head. What would a new coach do? And I think this is a really good point. Now, understandably, well, this is the question for you, mate. That's why it's coming your way. Understandably, people are entitled to their views, whether you go, whether you don't go. You support your club, you're entitled to opinion. I do think he's earned the right to have a real good crack at it because of what he achieved last season. And I also think I think Dave makes a fantastic point in terms of having the players fully bedded in, lots of training. They're gone one minute, they're here, late signings, internationals. I don't think how much would have that squad had fully together as a full squad. I don't think they would have. So yeah, Tyler, the floor is yours.
It is a good point and a good question, but it's no different to what any other team has gone through. I think he sort of moaned after the games had 8 players to work with. That would have been the same for every Premier League side.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I agree. I didn't like that.
We bemoaned pre-season on here and said we don't look right, we look lethargic. That's his time. Whether or not he's got all of the people with him to get players up to speed, I just think it's making excuses. And last season, he had such a charisma and charm about him that he didn't care about anything like that. And this season, you're sort of looking at a half-broken man, aren't you? You know, I haven't had the players in time. Everyone's on international duty. Well, the players can't be that bad, can they, if they're all on international duty? Like I said, I'm giving him these sort of we've got 4 games, haven't we, to the next international break. He's got a full week this week. I'd be expecting to see a performance and a style of play on Saturday that's far better than anything we've seen so far. The other flip point to that is if he's only played 2 new players, or someone of the previous question this season, surely the other players should know what we do and what we're about.
Yeah, absolutely. Nocky, I think this is a really fair point from David. And again, I know we've talked about this between the three of us with slightly varying answers, but these are brand new players in a brand new country, in a brand new league. Yes, they're footballers, but how long did it take Cunha to settle in? It's like these players take time to settle in. And granted,
who's our best player on Saturday?
Well, you've got me there. Yeah, it was Nocky. Krejci was our best player, but yeah, that's a fair point, Tyler. But not everyone will go hand in glove straight into the setup, and that it takes time, doesn't it? But it's a fair point. Some players will settle straight in, but Nocky, we don't know ourselves what the style of the setup is at the moment. It was a bit of a curveball on Saturday at Newcastle. I think it was a one-off because we're at Newcastle, but I think we can expect more sort of what we were used to previously with the 2-10s. But going back to Dave's point, I think the guy deserves and needs more time.
Yeah, I mean, I get Chris's point that, shut up and get on with it, essentially. But we've had so much damage done to us in this window. And it's got to be demoralising for a manager when you're seeing that level of quality going out and what you're bringing in. And you want to be competing higher at the league, but that's not possible. There's just been so much damage. And other teams, yes, absolutely, they've lost players as well. But you look at the quality they've brought in. Bournemouth have brought in Django Ouattara, who's established in this league. There's those players are there if you've got the ambition to go and get them. So I'm certainly not going to call for his head at the moment. I think if we come through the next 4 games, we're still bottom of the league and we haven't won, then it's probably a different conversation at that point because you're absolutely in quicksand. As it stands at the minute, he's got a full week to work with them now. It's the first full week he's had with a full settled squad since the window closed. So let's see what he can do this week. And if we can turn up against Leeds, put on a performance and win, we're right back in it again, aren't we? So let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Dave, thank you for being part of the Wolves report. Clive says to us, Vitor had to put up with these players being signed late in the window and had to an international break. Is it too much to ask the fans to give them time? I think we're going over the same question, but yeah, I'm very much in on your page with that. I think that is, and I think probably Tyler and Nocky are as well. We just need to give them time, but time's running out. All the promoted team. I think what are Wolves 7 or 8 points behind Sunderland.
Wolves that was the point I was trying about. How much time? Yeah. Is it a number of games? Is it a number of points behind 17th? Is it a clear shift in demeanour? What's time? How long do you give him?
It's the next 4 games, isn't it? You give him till the next international break for me, and then you reassess.
Yeah, it's what I would say is, and I know it's their job and they should do, but there doesn't look like a team of people that have given up or don't believe. Everyone's scrapping and fighting and believing. Do you know what I mean? Tolu's going to want to score a goal at Molineux on Saturday. Krejci's going to be wanting making his debut. So there are things definitely to look forward to. We've just got to get a song out of those other positions. The 2-10s for me are absolutely crucial on Saturday. I don't think he can go with a 3 again in midfield. I think he's got a bit of a conundrum there. There's a chance one of the back 3 drop out and Krejci goes in there, which I think is probably the most sensible thing. I think it'll probably be Mosquera, and I think Krejci will move into middle. I'd imagine that's what will happen, even though it probably should be, for me, Totti, in terms of footballing reasons, he should go out. But I think he needs time with all these players. I want to see Fer Lopez start. You haven't got an excuse now. He's come on the last 2 games. He's changed the games. He's a clear talent. He's something that we don't have. He's a bit Sarabia-esque, not in terms of like size and that, but in terms of looks like he wants to play football and create that little bit of magic. I mean, I hope his feet do turn out like Sarabia's because, a very much underrated magic man for Wolves. But Clive, thank you for being part of episode 137. Next up is Paul. It's clearly down to Sheet and Fosun the way the club is run, and some fans want VP out. Look at the manager we've had and got in the past. Surely they can't all be wrong. Again, I think that's a great point. Tyler, we've had the manager after manager saying, I mean, we had Lopetegui's friend in the press saying that he'd been lied to. We've had managers saying they were promised this player and that player, and it doesn't appear to happen. So, again, there appears to be a common denominator here.
Oh yeah, 100%. And just to be clear, I'm not Pereira out. I just want to see vast improvements on the football and operational side. It's clear the owners make it very difficult for a manager to succeed at this football club. And apparently Nuno obviously was lucky for the 2 or 3 years that he did it for, wasn't he? So
lucky apparently though.
Yeah, if you've got, I mean, basically all of our Premier League managers have said the same thing, or have fell out, or have left, or have had their hands tied behind the back. That's only sustainable for so long, as we know. And that's my biggest concern with Pereira is he's half the man he was end of last season, or sort of, Jan to April last season. He looks broken, doesn't he? Bless him. And that's my concern. If he looks broken, excuses start to come out, goes on to the players. A lot of the reason I think he kept us up was just that positive demeanour he had. He had us organised. He had us hard to beat. I'm just not seeing that at the moment, and that's my concern with him. But to answer the question, Paul's 100% right. If every manager you've had is struggling with it, then yeah, it's clear for all to see.
I mean, how do you think the poor guy feels, mate? He's not had a pint now for 5 months, so yeah, he must be absolutely, 5 minutes. Paul, thank you for being part of episode 137 of the Wolves Report. Next up is Rod asks, do you think it was a one-off starting Krejci in the midfield three, or do you think that's where VP will utilise him? I know we covered this a little bit earlier on, Nocky, but again, did you agree? I think this is very much a horses for courses position against the bigger and better sides.
Yeah, I think when you're trying to be a little bit more solid in midfield and you feel like you could get an overrun, probably your Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, teams like that, I'm comfortable with Krejci coming into the midfield. But I think predominantly we're going to want to see him at centre back. But it's nice to have someone who can be versatile and affect both areas. So yeah, I don't think you're playing there against your promoted teams and probably your West Hams and your other teams in relegation trouble like Villa. You always focus on probably having a little bit more in terms of attacking impetus in those games.
Just no need for that whatsoever. Just
for
absolutely.
For the smaller teams like Villa, we'll go for the maybe a little bit more attacking flair.
No need for it. I mean,
that's going to come back to bite him.
Oh man, that's clipped and all over the place. At least we scored a goal anyway. Rod, thank you for being part of the latest episode. Bobby's up next. Is it not bizarre and embarrassing that it's taken until game 4 for our club to field an English player? And I'll take this one. Now,
couldn't care less.
Bobby, I couldn't care. Hand on heart, I couldn't care less. When any player from anywhere puts the badge on, that's all I'm interested in. I want the best players for playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. If they're English and local lads, bonus. If they are local homegrown, big bonus. But for me, it's all about Wolverhampton Wanderers and the best players that are available to the club for this season, trying to keep Wolves up. I get the sentiment. Would it be nice? Was it nice to have Cody playing for England? Yes. Was it nice having Jarvis playing for England? Yes. Steve Ball, fantastic, great memories. But the main thing for me is Wolverhampton Wanderers. I want the best playing for us, whatever country they're representing. For me, they put on the Wolves shirt. I couldn't care less. Is that a fair comment, boys, or would you like a little bit more homegrown talent?
Couldn't give a stuff if we have homegrown talent a lot. I mean, we've had English players before, like Roger Johnson, Jamie O'Hara. I couldn't care less. I want the best players.
Good God.
I want the best players who can affect the football team. I mean, I've been following them for a very long time, and the best player I've ever seen is Ruben Neves, and the best striker I've ever seen is Raul Jimenez. So, it's about bringing in the players who can really impact the team, and whether they're English or foreign, I couldn't give a stuff, to be honest, as long as they're helping the team.
Bobby, thank you for your question. Appreciate you being part of the Wolves Report. Bobby sends in lots of questions, so it's good to get you on the show. Next up is Paul. Paul asked, 10 years ago, Fosun wouldn't have lasted half a season. Have we as a fan base gone soft? Now, I'm guessing Paul's probably alluding to any backlash and noise from the stands. Now, again, I'm not here to promote or turn down the volume up or down and that people do whatever they want. Do I think the fan base has softened down and been watered down because people are being priced out? I do. If you're not happy, people speak with their feet. Some people are priced out. If they're not happy, people can sing or do whatever they need to do as well. But on this, what I think is vitally important, particularly coming up to Saturday, is not to get lost in your frustration with Fosun. By all means, I'm saying do whatever you want. It's not for me to tell you what to do. But the most important thing on Saturday afternoon is supporting Wolverhampton Wanderers. Whether we all have different opinions and style, managers, owners, shirts, whatever. The most important thing on Saturday afternoon is Wolverhampton Wanderers and Wolverhampton Wanderers winning. And for that 90 minutes, we need to be aligned, because without us, they're going to struggle. They're struggling with a bit of confidence. I just think we need to back our boys. If you want to be angry at Fosun, maybe do it at full time. Maybe if the game's won, either way, maybe do it then. But whilst Wolves are in the game and chasing it, 3 points is incredibly important. And for me, on Saturday, it's all about backing our team, because that's why we're here and want our team to win. Gents?
Yeah, I agree. In terms of has Molineux gone soft, yes. We have been priced out. But I think there's almost the expectations so low now that we're almost waiting for the ball to go in the back of the net. I think there'll be a little bit of a better atmosphere against Leeds, because there's always a little bit of needle, and they're good supporters, they're loud, so there'll be a little bit of noise in Molineux. I think it will be okay unless we concede that first goal, and then you're probably going to see a little bit of a change. But the fan base has gone a little bit soft in the ground now, so I certainly don't think it'll be the horrible poisonous Molineux that we saw a few years ago when we double dipped. It'll be there'll be some frustration there. There'll be some songs towards Jeff and Fosun, but there won't be anything horrendous.
Well, I'm hoping it doesn't come to that on Saturday, Tyler, because we need to get behind our time and win. But Paul's right; it has softened down. But equally, I'm putting that into the question. Saturday's important because the fans need us, and the team need us, and we need them.
Yeah, but you need the team as well. You need something to get behind and get excited about and get, shouting for. And like Mark says, at the moment, you're sort of just waiting to concede that first goal. And over time, your expectations become more realistic, don't they? We probably knew this was on the cards. But I say this, I don't mean relegation. Yeah, I'm not writing off, but we've been slowly declining. So you sort of get used to that slow decline and your expectations decrease. Works both ways for me. Wolves have to give you
absolutely. You need a bit of magical sparkle. Like I remember, who was it against? Was it against Everton? João Gomez put that tackle in, and he just lifted everybody. There was absolutely no need to put the guy in the third row, but he did, and it was great, and it lifted it up. Paul, thank you for being part of episode 137. Have we got time for one more question? Yeah, let's go one more. Carl asks, what identity would you like to see our team to get a win this season? That's a great question. Tyler's talked about this a lot. Who are we now? What's our plan? Probably on Saturday we could see what the plan was, but I think, Nocky, the plan has to be more positive on Saturday. We can't go 3-5-2 again. It has to be, for me, the 3-4-2-1 and playing the talent that you've signed and getting the best out of them.
I hope so. I mean, if he's going to lose his job, if we're going to get relegated, let's kind of go out on our shield rather than just limping our way and trying not to get beat. I'd like to see us be more attacking. I'd like to see us utilise the wing backs better than we are. I'd like to see us be more solid in midfield and support the attackers a little bit better. Long term, can we get the two big lads up front together and try and get the balls in the box a little bit more effectively than we do now? But reality is, I just want a win. However that win comes, whether it's horrible, whether it's we've been battered for 90 minutes and we break in the 93rd minute and go and win the game, I don't really care as long as we get that win, because then you've got something to build on. And an identity will come from confidence, and winning breeds confidence. So if we can just get a win, it gives you a little bit of a chance, doesn't it? But we certainly can't afford to come out of Leeds with a defeat, because with Spurs coming, you're sniffing down the barrel of 6 in a row, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Saturday is enormous. Cole, thank you for being part of the latest Wolves report. On Saturday afternoon, Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Leeds United at Molineux, a rare 3:00 kickoff. Tyler, we've seen the team that took on Newcastle. What changes are we expecting for Saturday afternoon's game?
I don't know what we can expect now, because that was no one called that team, did they? I would go 3 at the back. I'd play Krejci, I'd play Agbadu and Mosquera. I'd play probably the same wing backs just about. I'd play Gomez and Andre, and then I'm playing Fer Lopez and Arias off Tolu. I think You have to, if nothing else, like Mark said, you want to see a bit of gung-ho attacking football. There should be enough in that team to beat Leeds United at home, if I'm brutally honest. I don't care about what players we've lost or what window we've had. I'd expect that team to beat Leeds United at home.
Yeah, and I've talked about this a lot, Nocky, but I've talked about having the athletes at centre back, because if you have fast, athletic, strong guys, you can allow your wing backs to go up. Now, if it's Agbadou one side and Totti the other, with Krejci in the middle, I'm confident that Totti and Agbadou can deal with most one-on-one situations. So because of that, you should be allowing your wing backs to get further forward. So for me, that's what it's all about on Saturday. Now, I'm in disagreement with Tyler. If Hugo Bueno is playing at right wing back, I think that Chacho comes into that side of the pitch, because if Hugo plays, for me, it's on the left, but you can't drop Rodrigo. So for me, Chacho comes in on the right hand side.
I'm comfortable whoever plays there, because I thought in the first half Hugo was really good. He was very positive, very direct, and he did affect the game. I'm not sure he'll risk Arias and Lopez in the starting 11. I think it's more likely that it's one and then Bellegarde or Menezzi. I'm not sure he'll risk them both.
Surely not against Leeds at home.
I don't think he will. I mean, I'd love to be wrong, because I'd absolutely
So you say risk, but what the biggest risk is losing and not playing your firepower. Surely. I mean, does I mean, this is a real simple way of looking at it, but the likes of Arias and Fer Lopez should be getting in any newly promoted team. So surely they get in for us and try and win the game. We're taking the game to the opponents, not looking to be a bit cautious, with no disrespect to Menezzi or Bellegarde. Surely you play the 10s in their right position.
Yeah, I don't disagree, but I don't think he'll risk it. I think he'll play Arias, and then I think he'll play Bellegarde, and I think that it will be Fer Lopez on the bench along with Menezzi. I'm not saying it's what I do, but it's what I think he will do, because he'll like the idea of Bellegarde dropping a little bit deeper into midfield to support that in a 3. I'm not sure he'll trust Arias or Lopez to do that job, because they're not really going to track back and start winning things. So I think he plays. I think he'll go with Tyler's team. I think it'll be very similar to that. And then whether it's chalk and cheese, whether he goes Hugo or Jackson on the right-hand side. But I think the front 3 will be Tolu. I think it'll be Bellegarde and Arias. That'll be what I think he goes with. But I'm happy to be wrong.
Tyler, because of the way Wolves started the game at Newcastle, is there a temptation just to make the one change and bring Hwang out for Fer Lopez or Arias?
Yeah, I think Mark talks total sense. What we've seen from Pereira so far is more on the reserved side than the go for it gung-ho side, isn't it? So it wouldn't surprise me if Menezzi starts or Bellegarde starts. I wouldn't do it, but it wouldn't surprise me at all. But you've got to have some guile on the pitch. You've got to have some craft, some creativity. The centre midfielders don't offer it. The wing-backs, to a point, can offer it. But you just need people around the big man. That's how simple it is for me. He has to play, and he needs 2 people close to him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And for me, I'm as much as a purist as you are. Fer Lopez, I think, can make things happen. I think I want to see the relationship with Chacho on that side, because he can cut in, and then with the fastest player in the Premier League at the moment, you can feed him in, or he can be looking to link in with Arias or feeding Tolo in. That's the picture I see. But Nocky makes a real good point. He might be a bit concerned. It might be Menezzi. It might be Bellegarde. I hope not, and no disrespect to those guys. I want to see the new talent get in the team, and Wolves try and win the football game and not try and lose it.
So what do you think he'll do then? What do you think he'll do? Not what you would like him to do.
Okay, I think, he goes the same team as Newcastle and one change. And I think Arias comes in for Hwang. That's what I think he'll do.
So you agree with me that...
Reluctantly, yeah. Well, you're talking like he's thinking, so I agree with you. It's not what I would want to do, but I agree with your thinking because of how cautious he is. And I think he'll have liked Krejci in midfield. I liked it as well. He'd have liked Mascara, quite liked him as well. And we look solid. But the only problem is, though, there isn't much going on at the business end. So because of that, you've probably got to bring in Arias. That's more of a link. But then you are asking so much of your wing-backs. If you've got a centre-back and 2 holding midfielders, your wing-backs have to be involved, because you are not going to create anything. So are Wolves going to be trying dull against Leeds and try and sneak something? I wouldn't be surprised if you did that. I hope I'm wrong, but I agree with the philosophy. Well, yeah, I agree with the philosophy of your idea of what he's thinking.
I think you're spot on, and I'll be disappointed if I am right, to be honest, because I know people are saying this is must-win. There's no must-win games after 5 matches. It's just not. So I'd like to see him be a little bit braver, play the two, play Arias and Fer Lopez really close to Tolu, at least one of them being really close and one dropping into space to support the midfield and dropping into the attack. But I don't see it.
Yeah, Tyler, it is a concern, but you know what? Let's be proven wrong on Saturday. But equally, Tyler, I couldn't care less what the team is as long as Wolves win on Saturday. You know what? Sam Johnson can be up front. I don't care. If Wolves win 1-0, that's all that matters. Wolves win on Saturday is the most important thing. If it's attractive, that's a bonus, but winning is the absolutely most important thing on Saturday. Gentlemen, it's prediction time. We're an hour and 5 minutes in. I'm into double time, overtime for you guys again. Nocky, tell me the first scorer and prediction for Saturday afternoon. Wolverhampton Wanderers against Leeds United.
I can't jinx it by going for a win, because every time I've gone for a win, we've got hammered.
We haven't won for 5 months.
That's because of me. I'll go for a 1-1.
No need for that.
Jean-Ric Nabelaga.
Oh, you're disgusting. Look, my dog's even dancing in the background now. What have you got him doing? Oh, don't be like, talk about my dog like that. Tyler, prediction and first scorer, please.
I think we win 2-0, and I think Tolu scores.
Why are you so confident? What's driving that? Is it hope or is it
stupidity?
Which one is it?
What's driving your hope?
I think Leeds are a well-organised side, but there's no way in a million years that they should punish us going forward. They've had 3 blanks this season, I think, out of 4 games. If we're going into games fearing them, then we might as well all pack it in now, genuinely.
I fear everyone, son, when it comes
I just think we'll get the job done. I think he's got a week to work with them. And you are right, Ryan, about how you win it, but you tell me if he picks an attacking team, that atmosphere isn't better at 10-3 than if Wang and Manetzi are starting.
And
so I think he can lift the fans just by picking a team that goes for it a little bit.
Yeah, but if you see Arias, Fer Lopez, Tolu, right, so there's 2 guys going to make their home debuts yet. Yeah, everyone's going to be buzzing. Yeah. You got your attacking 10s, bit of intent, absolutely. So, yeah. Gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Wolves win, and I agree with Tyler. I think Tolu is going to score. Yes, Nocky, you can call me whatever you want. This has been episode 137 of the Wolves Report. Of the Wolves.